Guys, these footballers, they are paid tens of thousands of pounds, hundreds of thousands of pounds. For 5 days a week, they train this exact same sport. They train the same passing, they have the same kind of ball, and they have the same kind of players. And what they do is they drill drills to pass the ball, to get into positions, to understand the game. All you have been doing is training how to run into positions, training tactics, training your position, and at the same time, how to kick a ball where to be. Bournemouth won, Man United won. We equalize at the death. Rasmus Hojlund rescues it, whatever. But anyways, Hojlund, Garnacho, Ugarte, Onana, Dorgu. 5 of these players, they're not good enough. That's all I'll say. They're just not good enough. Why? Let's break it down. Hojlund and Garnacho, they cannot link up play for to save their life. They cannot do that. Why? Ball comes into them, the ball balloons off them. Dorgu, I thought he was technically good. The more I see this guy play, he's just a version of Dallo that rushes the ball a bit too fast. So essentially, if you want to call it, it's a worse version of Dallo, minus the occasional decent cross. It is exactly Dallo. I don't see any difference with Dorgu and Dallo. Dorgu on that first goal, you might say, you know what? There was a problem with Shaw. There was a problem with Onana's passing. You know what? I can understand those arguments. But you know what I will not understand? How a professional footballer, a footballer who was bought in for his physicality, it wasn't for his technical ability, it wasn't for his passing, it wasn't for his crossing. His main attribute that Amorim liked was his physicality. And he comes into this team to bring more physicality, and you're being bundled over. Sure, it's a Bournemouth press and all that, but you're being bundled over, and in that same attack, they go and score. Semenyo scores a very good goal. This point, do we still now recruit physical players? Do you still want to believe in Amorim when he says, you know what, let's just recruit physical players? Technical ability comes second or third. Physical ability first. How feasible is it for the squad that we have right now? Do you see why we are lacking so far behind Bournemouth? Bournemouth, who did not even play well today, by the way. They were horrible by their standards. But to us, I would say they still schooled us. Maybe it wasn't as bad as the Old Trafford game, because that was a proper coaching lesson by Iraola. But this one was still to a level where Bournemouth were still playing their football. Maybe not at their level, maybe not at a good level, but still, United was so far behind. Having said that, I will still concede the argument that, you know what, we still had a few good patterns of play in the game. Maybe we would have had like 4 or 5 sequences throughout the entire 90 minutes. But you're telling me throughout the entire 90 minutes, we can only muster up 5 sequences where we're actually passing the ball very well. And then when it gets into the offensive half, when it gets into the attacking wing backs, when it gets into the 10s and the striker, we just lose control of the play. And then what do you do from there? That's where we are. These players are trained. What are they trained for? What have they been working on for the past 15, 20 years? They have been working on the same kind of positions, the passing and the shooting. How many more things can you teach these players? But at the same time, they cannot get the basics right. These players don't understand that if you get your basics right, everything else will flow. Who am I talking about? Most importantly, I'm talking about Patrick Dorgu. I understood this guy's game. You might say he needs time. He's 20 years old. I'm not talking about, you know what, get me assists and get me goals. I'm not talking about output. I'm talking about how when it comes to you're under pressure, you lose composure. You are not able to look and make the correct decisions when needed. Forget the assists and the goals, because I know at a much higher level club, maybe like a Liverpool, like a Barcelona, somebody who's winning a league or any trophy, you're probably looking at goals and assists. You're not even looking at the fundamentals. But right now, I'm just looking for fundamentals. I'm looking at players who can deliver the fundamentals. And you know who does deliver fundamentals for me? Players like Kobe Mino. He's not doing anything outstanding or world class, if you want to say it. But he's just doing the basics, right? And that's why you can see out of this entire crop of players, out of everybody who played today, Mino probably played the best, if you want to say it. Because it wasn't like he was amazing. He just did the basics right. He didn't mess up. Where do you turn? Like, okay, it's a good thing now Dallo is going to be missing the rest of the season, so at least we won't have to watch Dallo ball anymore. That's over with. But what's next? Maybe if Ahmad is fit, we might see him for the second leg, but even that's a stretch because we don't know how fit he is. He's only going to start training soon. He's not match fit yet. So we have to account for all these factors. Pushing Ahmad in at right wing back and expecting him to perform in his circumstances, is probably not wise. But that again goes back to my point. What do? We have now one of the biggest games of the season and arguably, one of the most important games in our history, because if we do not make it through the semi-final tie, if we do not win the final, the financial implications on this club are going to be painful. We do not want to expect, we don't even want to think about what's going to happen. For sure, you might get a Cunha, you might get a Delap. What's after that? Because looking at this team, we have a lot more than just a Cunha and Delap to fix this entire team. We need a goalkeeper. How many times was Onana caught off? That free kick by Semenyo, it was on Onana's side, and yet still he's just hanging onto the crossbar. Like, this is not a real keeper, he's from a movie, he's from a simulation. I don't know how he's our keeper. But anyways, Onana exists, and then Garnacho, every time he gets the ball, you know what? You might think, if you've never seen Garnacho before, right? The second he gets the ball, you'll start thinking, oh my God, this is a technically outstanding player. You know what? He might actually be good. And then it gets to the point where he has to make a decision. And once there's pressure on him from a defender, what does he do? Runs down the line, cuts it back. Same spot, right? Does he cross it? Does he take time to think, you know what? Maybe a give and go is a good choice. Nope. Every time he gets the ball, he's looking for that shot. He's trying to be Bruno Fernandes, but has not even half the quality of that. That's essentially Garnacho's whole story. He's trying to be Rashford, what Rashford used to be, but he's nowhere close. Hojlund, on the other hand, you know what? His link up, if it's very 50-50. And this was one of his better games, if you want to call it, because usually the ball just trampolines off him, and usually he doesn't have it under his control. Hojlund was bad today, by the way, let me get that straight, but by his standards, it wasn't such a bad game. It was an okay game. He scored the goal anyways. Rebounded, deflected, whatever you like to call it. Chido Obi, if you ask me, got into better attacking positions and made better attacking runs than Hojlund while he was on the pitch. But we don't want to talk about that, right? Because you know what? Hojlund needs time. He's only 21, 22. I don't even care at this point. But anyway, he needs time. Garnacho needs time. So, you know what? We got to understand that we can't rush these players. Dorgu needs time to understand how to play football because he's only been playing for the last 20 years. You know what? Let's just end it at a positive. This game didn't matter anyway. The result doesn't matter. Like, we probably stopped looking at results after game week 25. After we lost to Palace, essentially, I stopped looking at results. Then it was all about performance. Performance today was poor. At the same time, I understand certain patterns would have been better if it had been more repeated. If there were more of these passing patterns in the game, and then you know what? When it reaches the final third, it dies. It's fine. You know what? Then I understand. It's not an Amrin problem. It's a player problem. But the thing is, it's not regular enough. The patterns have to repeat much more regularly. It's not happening in our case. So, all we can hope for, all we can pray for, is that once we get better quality of players, those 1-2 moments that we do create, instead of making like 10 or 20 chances, if we create 1 to 5 chances, we convert 1 or 2 of them and then we score. That's the only thing we can hope for. Anyway, that was Bournemouth 1, Man United 1. This game is over. Athletic Bilbao, that's the game we all care about. Now everybody will switch on because that's the game we really care about. Bilbao, in Bilbao, if we win that, all we need to do is just get a draw at Old Trafford, scumbag a draw at Old Trafford. Just like we scumbag the draw today. We didn't deserve it, but we did. And after that, we go back to Bilbao in the Europa League final, win that, and it's probably like multiple seasons after this that we've saved. It's a big game. Bilbao is a big game. Be here next week. See you all.